Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sons and Daughters of Liberty. I'm your host, Andrew, or Smiley, or Andrew, whichever one you choose to use. But either way, I'm your host. As promised, we're starting this year off a little bit differently. I'm not going to be talking about what's been going on. Maybe I will a little bit towards the end, but we all know what's going on here in the United States. I want to get back to the broken systems. I've been so much wanting to finish this series, and I was like, got to thinking, I'm just going to start from the beginning since original series was done on YouTube about 6 years back, 6, 7 years back. Why not start all over again, right? That way it's fresh, new. We got a new audience and some older audience members. But let's cover it the way it should be covered, the way it needs to be covered. We got all kinds of broken systems, guys. I mean, healthcare, our politics are broken, our education system's broken, our criminal justice system's broken, and the list goes on and on and on. They're all broken. Oh, they're broken for a reason because many of these have simple fixes. Can be easily fixed. And some of these systems can be easily fixed by just us sitting here talking to each other, having debates and discussion about these things instead of getting caught up and divided like we so easily do. And that's their number one ploy against us, to divide us, keep us fighting against each other. So we're not having these conversations, these topics, and these debates. And that's why I decided to start the system up right. We're going to start it off with the caste system. And guys, I don't know how many parts this series is going to be because we have that many broken systems from our Medicare. I mean, some of the stuff we could probably cover combine into healthcare and stuff in other areas. But even business is a broken system, how things are separated. But one thing that's not separated is the hierarchy that we have in place. And that is what I talk about when I say refer to the caste system. Give me 1 second. I want to make sure that all these links that I just supposedly shared got posted. They did. Cool. But we do live in a system that is highly controlled. That it predates probably from the dawn of time. It seems to be ingrained in our DNA. So we're not talking about something new. But yet we have this adaptability. We change labels for everything constantly. So you guys might not know what the caste system is. Older generations do. Newer generations, I highly doubt it. But it is a hierarchy system. It's basically the monarchy. It's anything where we put people above others. Picture a pyramid X. Picture a pyramid. You know the food pyramids? Picture one of those. Except for in this pyramid, we're going to have, and we can argue about the upper part, who's who, who's where, right? Well, the bottom part's us. We're the slave labor, slaves. We're not supposed to be, and nor are we supposed to be in that area, but that's how the elites, our politicians, look at us and treat us. It's no longer about we the people. It's never been about we the people for a very long time. They've done everything in their power to get rid of that. But now, even the politicians aren't really in charge. They're ruled and governed by corporations. You know, every system, from work to home, military, political, we have a caste system. We have a hierarchy. Within the family, it's the mom, dad, kids, or mom, dad, grandparents, kids. Kids are bottom, right? Or young. We don't know. They're young. They don't know. They're not 18 yet. And when they're 18, they move up a notch, but they're still underneath the parents and the grandparents, and they're still around. The adults, right? They're still a young adult. They're still learning. So even within our household, we have a caste system. We don't might not realize it. You know, it was even more prominent older generations. There was more of a different dynamic. Now that dynamics, the head of the house could be the man or the woman. It don't matter, or neither. It could be the unicorn that they brought in. That's the times we live in, guys. Sorry, but I mean, it's wild and crazy times. But yet, out of these wild and crazy times, we cannot get away and break free of this caste system that they have. Honest, most of us don't even realize it, notice it, see it, because we are indoctrinated from the start of school. We are indoctrinated right from our parents because they were indoctrinated with the same stuff from their parents, from their education, because within the education system, education hasn't changed since the beginning of the education system, which was designed. Do you know why you have spring break? Do you know why you have summer? Well, that was to coincide with harvesting and planting. It was to coincide with lumbering and milling. That's why the schools had those breaks. That's why they're still in there today. It's a psychological warfare, mental manipulation to ingrain and train you to be a worker, not to be a owner, somebody that runs their own stuff. You know, we even break down and divide our kids, which, nothing wrong with that part of the system, but it's still part of a caste system. You have freshmen, juniors, seniors, sophomores. Who are they learning from? You know, we're teaching people to be separate from each other. We have varsity and JV. Varsity for the more elite kids, JV for not so elite. But even within the team and sports dynamics, we have the caste system. We have the captain, we have the co captain, we have the coach, we have the offensive, defensive coaches, and underneath them are offensive, defensive coordinators. Even within school systems, whether you realize it, you have the rich kids and you have the medium class kids and the poor kids. We have three distinct social caste systems even when we're in school. I mean, don't start that. We don't start noticing that till like first grade, second grade. But by third grade, you see it. You already know there's a difference. You already know that the rich, or we call them preps, the preps are going to go on. They're above everybody else. If you get in trouble with one of them, you're the one getting in trouble, not them. The rules are being set, the guidelines are being set that you are beneath them and that they are your betters. This is what the caste system is. I mean, the easiest way to break it down is the monarchy, king, queen. Then within the court of the kings and queens, you had your dukes, your duchesses, and the list went on because they got ridiculous with it. Unlike the pharaohs of Egypt. We say had it went the pharaohs. Actually, believe it or not, it actually went the priest caste, then the pharaohs. Then quote unquote citizens, which has been nobility, upper class, because anybody underneath the upper class were your laborers, then your slaves. Yes, slaves were actually the laborers were still above slaves, but they weren't upper class. They weren't rich. Your scholars were above. Many of you guys are saying, "Well, what's this have to deal with broken systems?" Because this is a very broken system they use to manipulate us, control us, and divide us. This is a system that they use and that we live in everyday life. I go to work. I am a supervisor. Under me is a lead. Then under both of us is our production team. But above me is the plant manager, the owners, HR. Yes, I'm in charge of a group, but I'm also not in charge because I still have to do and apply what my bosses want. People that are above me, the plant manager, the owners, and apply their direction and make sure that what they give me, I give to my lead, that they that goes down to the production, that the will of our betters or our upper management. And no, I mean, don't, um, this is just an example, guys. Anybody takes this the wrong way, and I go into work and get reamed for some calling mine, but they are. They've got more years of experience. They are truthfully my betters. They got years of experience. Like how I clean that up? Yeah, no, seriously. But that's how they want you to look at it. Yes, they have years of experience on me. I couldn't do some of their jobs. I wouldn't want to do some of their jobs, to be honest with you. Because some of their jobs is a hell of a lot more stressful than what mine is. Mine is actually not that stressful at all. But I'm still answerable to somebody, and I got to take that and make sure that people under me understand that yes, they are answerable to me, and they don't want to get it much past me because that usually involves worse things than how I deal with things, which most of them understand. But I like where I work because even with that dynamic of the caste system, it's like a family. It's just a family operation. It started out with a family, it's grown, and we still got American flags on our building. You feel part of the family, but they also instill, listen to your people. Make your people understand that they're part of the team, part of the family. If they have suggestions, give them. This ain't like this in most places. Trust me, I'm working a bunch of places, many different jobs over my lifetime. Most people don't give a rat's ass what we have to say, especially for production and for the workers, for the slave. Right? I know you have no say. Where our company encourages it. What better way can we execute our plan or their plan, the corporate's plan, right? What better way can we execute that plan to the most effective, cost effective, to where it benefits everybody and less, preferably less stressful labor. then everybody feels, yes, we're still have that hierarchy, but they still feel like they're part of. They have a say and they're part of the team, right? But that doesn't. That's not everywhere. These are rare occasions. Most occasions, it's dictatorship all the way down. You do as you're told. You're going to enforce the uppers' judgment, their decision, what they want. You're going to make sure it gets done. You become, instead of a leadership, you become a taskmaster or a tyrant because your job's to get that task done because you don't want to go back down to the bottom, right? Even within our government, the government's the easiest way to look at this, but it's changed over the years too. Because now we see another aspect that most of I didn't even see when I was younger. That's part of this, and that's a major part of this. I know I grew up hearing pork barrel spending, this and that. Like I said, labels keep changing, but it's the same old shit. It's still greedy people trying to keep and not treat people as humans or treat them as equals. They're trying to make them see that they're the betters and that they have to answer to them. They have to do, they say, that the rules for us don't apply to them, which we see in many, many cases. But it's even worse when we start getting into the political structure. I mean, hell, when we break down the political system that is so fucking broken, we could probably do 3 or 4 videos just on that. And I'm not saying talking about short videos. I'm talking about 4 to 8 hour long videos just on our broken political system. But unfortunately, we probably say the same for every system we're going to look into. But there is one root of all evil to all these systems. In fact, this is probably the easiest and shortest system to look into, describe, understand. The hard part is, how do we break away from something that's so ingrained in us that we haven't been able to do so since the dawn of time? I do say since the dawn of time. I mean, we could say since the written historical version that we can read and understand, it's been there. Smack dab right in our face, and it's clear into the 2026. And we're still living within that same system. That's how broken this is because it's put people in power that wish to put themselves above others, live off greed, change all the terminology and labels so it doesn't look like this is an evil thing, that this looks like this is a normal thing, and control everyone. But we live in America. We live in a democracy or a republic. I see no difference from the monarchy. I see no difference from Rome. I see no difference from how the pharaohs done it. I see no difference from the basic tribal people. We all have the caste system. We've all been brought up, raised in a caste system. We have a hierarchy. Tribal was hunters, gatherers, warriors. They had their chieftains. They had spiritual class, and they lived within that caste system. Certain bloodlines retain the chieftain spot, tribal chieftain spot, or however you want to call it. Basically, the ruler. That's what they are: king, queen, and there's the ruler. You have your wise men, wise women, counselors, and really, it hasn't changed. We just changed the labels, makes the names fancy, sound up to date. We're a monarchy instead of being a whatever the pharaoh was, which was a monarchy in a sense. Or we're a republic, Rome. We have a senate. We have a set an emperor when times when we deem it is when the Senate deems it necessary. But we've seen all that ended up after Caesar. It became a more of a dictator role and a permanent role. But we had citizens. But anybody that wasn't rich or a soldier was treated like slaves. They had no say. They had no rights. Were labor. They were to do the labor, the dirt work that the citizens would do. They were to do either become soldiers to have a little bit better way of life, better pay, a higher standard with hopes maybe one day rising up within the ranks of the soldiers to be a well-off citizen, a rich citizen that will eventually might lead a legion. Nothing's changed. And this system is as corrupt as it's ever been. Might be worse. Because if you look, I like using Rome for example, because after Rome fell came the Dark Ages, what we call the Middle Ages or the Dark Ages, and it was literally look at the aqueducts, the bathhouses, the sewers, all the roads, all the advancements that the Romans made after the fall of Rome, all that disappeared for almost a century, almost 100 years. Everything just went. Then we've seen the rise of the monarchies, the rise of Europe, the kings and the queens, but they didn't have what the Romans had. They were living in castles. They didn't have bathhouses. They weren't building roads. They were using what was already there and letting it crumble away. But what did we have still? We still had a group of people above the rest that looked upon the lower class as second class citizens, as laborers. Their only role and job in life was to be laborers, to provide for the kings and queens and nobilities and the nobility, and what they considered now lords and ladies, clear down to the corrupt sheriffs that would go collect the taxes for the king and queens, or the governors. Now, that's one thing I love about our founding fathers. The more you study, the more you research. I'm a direct descendant of one, so I know I have had the privilege of reading some of the old journals that's still around that has been donated, that's been kept in the family. And yes, my founding father became very Jeffersonian, as they put it, because he opposed the peace treaty with Britain. And everything he said, and the reason why he opposed it, came to fruition. We didn't pay off our debt till Clinton took the Clintons were in office in 1996. So we paid off our debt to Britain from that treaty that was signed in 1976. Wow. And Britain and the Queen and the monarchy have constantly interfered in our meddling, in our affairs. Why? Because our founding fathers decided to not be like Europe, not be the monarchy, be like the Catholic Church. You got to remember, Catholic Church was very powerful back then. If you did anything or had a belief system outside of the Catholic Church, you were a heathen, heretic, pagan that could be prosecuted, burned at the stake, imprisoned, stoned, whatnot. If you looked at nobility the wrong way, guess what? The same thing applied. Guess what? These things haven't changed. I could use this week's prime example and the argument and the debate of whether the cop was justified shooting the lady. Let me put it in plain terms. No matter what, this cop, a federal official, there is one thing in the laws that puts an end to any argument. And whether you like, I don't agree with it. If you even bump a fucking cop, that's assault on an officer of the law, and that's flat out. I mean, if they want to be really dickheads, if you're just walking and you just not paying attention, bump into him, you could actually be charged with assault. So when that car bumped dude, regardless of the circumstances, that became assault. Do I agree with the whole scenario of how everything went down? Yes and no, because it's been allowed to get to this point. It's another part of the caste system creating a division amongst the people to keep them arguing and bickering or something that should be so common sense that it's escalated and resulted to this. When one side of the party starts condemning the other side, saying this is okay, we need to do this, you guys need to do this, but I tell you what, you don't see them there. Then when something happens, they come around and try to take more of our rights away from both sides. That's the part people don't get. They want you to do something stupid. They want something stupid to happen so they can come around and take more of your freedoms and rights and liberties away. And that's what they do every time. Both sides are just as guilty. They both do it because they see themselves as your betters. They see themselves as you. They can't trust you to make decisions. They don't trust you to have common sense, which most people today don't have common sense. Because if they had common sense, they wouldn't be falling for the same entrapments over and over again. They wouldn't be voting for the same politician that's nothing but a snake oil salesman that lies to you every election cycle to get your vote. What was my favorite saying last year? What have you done for me? Nothing. When I go to the grocery store, get maybe 20 items and spend almost $200, they have done jack shit for me. They've done nothing to lower the cost at the grocery store. They keeps going up. And President Trump, you're so fucking wrong. Prices have not come down. That is my problem with rich bastards of any system, become getting into politics because they're not the everyday people. They are not we the people. They don't work their asses off to barely not get by, barely live in check for check. They don't know what it's like. They don't care because they view us as slaves. We are the labor. As long as we're paying our taxes and we're shopping at the stores that they're invested in with their stocks and bonds, they're making money. That's why when COVID happened, they were so big on pushing all the mom and pop stores out so they couldn't survive because so many Americans were still going to the mom and pop stores over Amazon and Walmart. That's the control they have over you. They give you the aspect, oh, but you vote for us. You have the rights to vote. Yes, we have the rights to vote, but you brainwash so many people with psychological warfare that most people don't have the common sense that actions speak louder than words. I mean, come on. Then, heaven forbid, oh, well, I thought you were MAGA. I thought you were right. No, apparently you don't listen to the things I say or haven't followed the law stand. I don't do labels. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm not an independent. I'm an American. I'll use that label. I will vote for the people, regardless of the fucking party, red, blue, don't give a shit, that has a good mouthpiece and that their actions have backed their mouth. If their actions don't back their mouth, you're not getting my vote because you're not what we need in our any form of our government. You're definitely not what I need as a judge or a sheriff, since we still vote those people in. You're definitely not good enough to be a politician because you're just a snake oil salesman. But yet, so many people get stuck on that label game because it's programmed in you, just like this caste system is, because, hey, we need to be a Republican or a Democrat. That's the only way to vote. There's nothing wrong with voting on party lines if the party member that you're voting for has done everything that they say they're going to do. Then when they get elected, they bring and try to bring that legislation and bills to to the floor to be voted on. If they don't do those things, guess what? They're not representing you. And guess what? Their job, elected job and ethics, is to we the people, not to the corporations, not to the Republican Party or Democratic Party or Independent Party or Socialist Party. Their job is to we the people. And that means when you, the federal level, become a senator or member of House, your job isn't to the state that elected. Your job is to every American citizen, even the ones who didn't vote for you. How many of our politicians has that mindset today? I'll tell you, not Paul, not AOC, not Jim Jordan, who's just another puppet that runs his mouth and does nothing. He is all words, no action. Charismatic as fuck, but when it comes to doing something, he'll sit there and talk your ear off, say he's going to do these things, and does nothing. And there's plenty of video of him sitting on these stupid judiciary committees saying all these things. Everyone is a member there saying all these things. When it comes time to do nothing, they do nothing. Hey, at least the Democrats, when they want to impeach Trump, they got that right. They could get together and do that. Our Republicans can't even do that. Couldn't even do that to get rid of Biden. Why? They didn't care. They're all in it. It's one big club. Guess what? You ain't in it. As George Carlin so famously said. Funny as fuck. He was funny as fuck, but guess what? All his comedic jokes weren't so much of a joke. There's the irony there. How ironic that all his jokes were common sense shit filled with truths that we laughed at because at the at the time we thought it was funny because we realized, yeah, I see that. Instead of having the dumb reality of, whoa, he's right. But, there's days I wonder, do you guys really even care? With all the talk of civil war, which, you've heard my I've said it 2024, 2025, 2023, clear back to COVID when it first started going around. It won't be a civil war. It will not. It'll be a revolutionary war. You can take that to the bank. Because let's keep it real. All the shit we see, all these idiots and their colorful costumes, playing unicorns, those are just minority little zealot groups. Yeah, it might start off with skirmishes, neighbor versus neighbor, brother versus sister, brother versus brother, but it'll be short. Because in the end, real people are going to step up that you guys never heard of, never seen speak, start speaking, and start pulling people together. And they're going to go after the ones that really are corrupt. That is our corporations. That is our politicians. Our politicians can fix everything at the expense of their wallets and bank accounts. Our Supreme Court could put an end to 90% of it by stop allowing corporations to manipulate and buy our politicians. But why? They're all getting off it. Greed becomes the root of all evil. But when you live in a system that is a caste system, it's even worse because you're stuck with only a few options to free yourselves from that enslavery, enslavement. That you are too blind to see that you're even enslaved in. Hence why my thumbnail for choice for this video. You gotta free your mind first. You gotta free through all the lies and illusions that you've been taught and programmed with. When you start breaking down those walls, you'll start freeing your mind, yourself. It'll be numbing, it'll be painful, especially with the realizations of how long you've been lied to and tricked and deceived. Then you'll start seeing things for what they really are. That's when they fear you the most. It's well, he created the terms heathen, heretic, and pagan, which the root origins just mean common folk, free thinkers. A free thinker is a danger to any established organization. Any organization, a free thinker is a threat because they question everything, every little detail, which is what we're supposed to do. We're not supposed to take anything at face value that Trump says or any politician says. We're supposed to question every little thing. Every president's done some good, every president's done some bad. But tell you what, every president, even fucking Biden, Obama, was my president because we, the people, voted him in. Therefore, he is our president. Yeah, and it's how bad a society has become within this caste system. We've got people won't even talk to or socialize or date anybody that voted for Orange Man bad. Or if you have any what they consider rightist views. I know I've got leftist and rightist views. Hell, I've got dictatorship views. Hell, we're gonna get down right. I can be straight sadistic with it. I've got all views because I sat there and listened to all sides. Then I go back. Okay, what have you done? Well, you stood up for gun rights. Cool. Even when it wasn't popular against your party. Wow, that's impressive. Hey, you stood up for protecting the Constitution. Well, you're a Democrat and did that. Wow, there is some out there. But unfortunately, it seems like even when everything, even the good ones get into office, it's like somehow they become, and well, I mean, it goes back to the old saying: you can have a bushel of apples. If one's rotten, it's going to rot in the whole bushel if you don't remove it. So when every time the good ones get into office, they become just as corrupt and rotten as the rest. I mean, we watched it. We watched it with Margaret Taylor Greene, Anna Paul, and the list goes on and goes on. Matt Gaetz was really smart enough to get out, but he ain't no saint either. We have, and that's the thing. They don't want you to realize how much power you really have. I mean, it's just like they censor us for saying the elections are rigged. And YouTube, if you're going to censor me for this, fuck off right now, because I can prove it. Every election we've had since the beginning of elections have been tampered with. Why? Because we still have dead people voting on ballots. Every election, it happens. Here in the state of Ohio, every election, every year, it is caught and dealt with, but it happened. Some states just ignore it, but it happens. It's the biggest joke of our election system that we've not gone to a form of voter ID that would end to that. But then again, would it put an end to it? Because we've seen throughout the last couple of years with the ICE rounding up all these people, the fake IDs. They're not so fake because they're actually somebody's social security number, somebody's real name with an illegal's picture on it. Documentation upon documentation of that. In most places where they go and round up a bunch of people from businesses. How they getting that documentation? How they getting mine or your social security number in the first place, right? There's the big question. Who's making money off that little racket? And who's overlooking it and allowing it to happen? Those are the questions you should be asking. Other questions you should be asking. Why can every other country protect their borders and not let somebody in? I mean, go ahead. Go to try to go to Mexico and come back without a passport or documentation, see what happens. Or Canada. Sneak across the Lake Erie, get past the Monties and the Border Patrol. See what happens when you get caught. So what's the big deal? Well, what the big deal is the politician telling you it's a big deal. Just like racism. What's the big deal? It's 2026. We should not be having racism as an issue. Well, every time something happens, it becomes a big deal for the politicians to use and pit us against each other. That's the catch. Want us always fighting amongst ourselves. Once we're fighting amongst ourselves, we're not questioning them. We're not looking to see what they're doing that we wouldn't want them to do and vote on. That's how much control they have over you. They don't want us looking into the financials of them, how bought they really are by Amazon, Walmart, all these big corporations. YouTube's become nothing but a corporation. Advertiser controls and censors what they don't want. The advertiser controls YouTube. The corporations of those advertisers control YouTube. Oh, we can't have this person sending our ads on the same thing. You need to give them a strike. You need to remove them. That's why I migrated over to Rumble. It's 50-50 here. They need to get a few years under their belt, a few more years under their belt. But I've heard everything I've heard from their people just said has been all up and up. It's all the people. I'm not a big fan of cryptocurrency. You guys all know that. That's another big trap, in my opinion. But it is nice to see Rumble advancing to where we have more ways to make money. If you want to make money on here, to where when somebody tips us, we actually get some value. It's nice to see that they're giving people like me a chance to be part of their creative program. I mean, I don't got the followers and the viewership. Hell, I work 10-hour days. Some weeks I don't have time or too tired or got too much running to do to come and do a live stream, a video every weekend or every day. And every day is never going to happen again. Not as long as I'm working. And I'll never allow this to become an income. At least not the sons and daughters Liberty part. Because I'll never allow somebody to control what I can and can't say. Or dictate that I can't talk about certain subjects. One of my favorite YouTubers goes by the name Outdoor and Review. Who reviews out camping, outdoor equipment or gear stuff, more like camping stuff from various sellers, and he gives his honest opinion. He videotapes, he records it, and he will not take any gifts or sign any contracts with anything to market their products. He'll give you a real, true assessment, and he's right. If he would, then first time he said something bad, they're going like, no, you can't say that. You're contracted by us. Then he could not give a true and be trusted as far as he's been trusted this point. He can do an honest assessment of the gear that he's reviewing at the time without consequence. And they hate it. Just like the record labels or movie industry. They get you. They get you to sign that contract and they take your freedoms of speech away. You can't say this and this. You need to support this or you won't have a contract. Well, I've got a lot of respect for Ryan Church. Ryan Upchurch. Hoosier. And those guys who refuse to sign a big label and use the social media platform to grow what they love to do and become successful. Can the American dream still happen? Yes, but you've got to work 10 times as hard to make it happen. You got to use every loophole at your disposal. And you can't cave in. Be your own boss. Be your own master. Quit being a puppets to everybody else. Oh, is that I hear in the background? Oh, yeah, I hear those guys. Oh, you're a hypocrite. You work for a company. Yeah, I work in a factory. You know what? I've worked my way up. I'm actually in positions now that you'd ask me 2 years ago, I'd say no. I don't like. I'm great. I've had plenty of people tell me, "Oh, you'd be great in leadership roles." I don't like being in those roles because I don't like telling people what to do. Am I good at it? Yes. I like being the antisocial, quiet guy. Can't be that when you're in forms of leadership. There's so much more responsibility. And that's what our politicians fail to realize. Any people that get in there and start making careers out of these things for the wrong reasons. My my job is simple. Train the next person to replace me. Train everybody so they can advance their when an opportunity opens. That's how I run my ship. Training, cross training comes first. And thus far, the way I've done things reflects in the numbers since I've taken over. I was supposed to be on 90-day probation. I wasn't supposed to be appointed supervisor till the end of the month. In 60 days, I was appointed supervisor. In 60 days, I improved my numbers, got most of my people cross trained in multiple areas, and kept production up, kept sales up. From November till now, I've been dealing with basic lack of work. We don't got enough product to sustain a second screw, other than running the screw line. I've done everything I can to make sure everybody's gotten a chance to work and use that opportunity to train them, cross train them. I've had people give up time so other people could get time. So when you set to do something, don't put yourself first. Don't put your wallet first. Put the other people in first. And I had a lot of help from a lot of people. I've had a lot of good mentors, especially in the last couple of years, because I'm dealing with doing the positions now that I didn't want to ever want to do. Hell, it's probably the reason why I never became a chef. A chef. Granted, that's my retirement job, head chef, but that's one of the main reasons I never became a chef. I was happy being a sous chef or just a cook. Because once you become a chef, you're in charge of everything. Yes, you're someone in charge as a sous chef, but come on, we all know chefs, they're dictators. Your job's just to be the babysitter and make sure he's not tearing your head off, right? As a sous chef. And that everything that's coming from you is going to pass his approval or her approval. I mean, I've worked so many jobs in my life. I am truly am a jack of all trades, masters of none. And I don't agree with that masters of none part. I've mastered quite a few things, but I'm not egotistical, and my ego don't run things. You're never truly mastering anything because you're constantly learning new things. Because every time you start training somebody, eventually the student becomes a teacher, and you learn something as well. That you because repetition. Repetition is perfect. It's great. It's taught in many philosophical, spiritual societies how important repetition is. But it's repetition without the ego. Without the ego, you understand that when we start having conversations in this chat, which is always open, you can always message. I will interact with chat. I learn just as much as from our interaction as I hope you learn from me because we're having a debate, we're having dialogue, we're learning from each other, we're seeing each other's perspectives from different walks of life. That's another thing they use to trick us. Most of our views, perspectives, and opinions come from how we were brought up, raised, community, area, religious. There's many factors. If we allowed any of those factors to cloud our mind to become one, allow our minds to become one-sided, then we don't see past those things. And when somebody has a different opinion that and the things we learn, the things that we experience. We throw that in there too because that's very important. You know, how can I speak of what being in a battlefield's like with bullets flying at you? I can talk about it. I can talk about all the stories I've heard. War's hell, plain and simple. There is no winning or losing side. Actually, there's no winning side. They're all losing. We're losing life. We're losing resources, and not 90% of all wars that end, nothing was really gained, other than corporations making mass money playing both sides, like the Fords did during World War II and World War One. Many of the corporations, play both sides. Our politicians will invest in both sides, constantly making money off a vile act that they created. In the end, it's the politicians that create the wars. In the end, it's not very seldom it's the politicians' sons or daughters that are on the front lines. There is that separation. You are the cannon fodder, not our sons and daughters. You'll serve, you'll go, but our kids won't. And I'll be honest, while we're talking about the caste system, I will be honest with you. I don't see a fix for it because it's so ingrained. I almost want to say it's ingrained in our DNA. We have to have leaders. We have to have followers. We have to have people, spiritual people. Do we? Can't we not be spiritual without all the hoopla? I think the Bible said it probably went best. Where two or three gather in my name, that's a church. You're worshiping God. And let's be very specific here in the wording. It does not say three humans. It could be you, a cat, a dog, squirrel. It could be you and a friend. You know, hell, I might bring back. These friends. We're gonna have church today, huh? People look at us. Well, yeah, like you guys don't go to church. Oh, you're a fucking pagan. Yeah, I am. I'm a heathen, a heretic, and everything else. But yeah, we're gonna have church. Why? Because we're gonna talk. We're gonna communicate. We're gonna fellowship. It doesn't have to be about God. He's there though. We're going to talk. We're gonna communicate. We're gonna talk about what we're talking about right now. Why is it all these rich elitist corporations, politicians think they're better than us? When, especially here in the United States, it's we the people. We are supposed to be their masters, not them being ours. But we've gotten away from that. We've completely, I don't know, where'd that 470 go? How did we miss the bypass? Instead of being on this nice, beautiful, luxury, straight, pristine road, we didn't even get off on the beaten path. We got off in some apocalyptic mindfuck somewhere that we've forgotten that we are the masters of our politicians, that we are the masters of our households. We have forgotten that we are the masters of our children and that we have a say of what they are learning in schools. No, I'm not a domestic terrorist because I don't want my kids to be learning about adult concepts. Yes. Oh wow. Long time no see, Rebecca. Yes, we did put them in power, and we keep putting them in power. Instead of living by the simplest things, common sense thing, is actions speak louder than words. We keep listening to their words and keep putting them back in power, or we get caught in the label game. I'm not going to vote for a Democrat because I'm a Republican. Well, if that Democrat stood up and fought for my Constitution, fought for my gun rights, why wouldn't I vote for him? His actions speak louder than most Republican words. They're all the same. Ignore the label. Hell, my friend from North Carolina said it best. You need to treat them like NASCAR, put them in driver suits with all their sponsors, everyone that buys them and controls their votes. So we all know. In fact, if you have any office of trust, everything needs to be transparent. Not just the President of the United States, every financial aspect, wherever any of your money comes from is at, needs to be put on display for the public. I want to know who's buying your votes, who's going to buy your veto, who's going to buy your approval. I think it's funny. I only bring it up with certain Republicans. They never bring it up against their own. Right? Goes back to that. Oh, we never turn on each other. How do we have an ethics? How can we ever have an ethics violation within Congress or Senate when it's policed by them? It's happened once that I know of in my lifetime. I think it's happened twice, but once for sure. And it didn't even end in an ethics violation because they allowed him to retire with dignity. And it was over some credit card scandal. And that was before the most recent credit card scandal or insider trading. Oh, they want us divided all the time. If we're divided, we're too busy arguing amongst ourselves instead of paying attention to them or having conversations like this, pointing these simple little things out that happens on both sides. But as soon as I start talking bad about one side, either I'm a lover of the other side, just like hell. I'm, you probably won't be able to catch me on YouTube after I say this, but AOC, she claims to be a socialist, a national socialist. Now, correct me if I'm not wrong. In history, the last National Socialist Party were the Nazis, and it hasn't changed since then. But I say that for a reason because that's going to be their top pick for their next Democrat president. Why? Because they ran out of people, and she's the most dangerous because she actually has a huge following, and she can reach the youth. Oh no, no, no! If you can't, they never let a good crisis go to waste. I mean, we're seeing it right now play out today. This I've kind of avoided talking about it. I think I brought it up once. And they're using that to add fuel to the fire, both sides. Trump was fucking dumbass wrong when he said what he said about the situation. Instead of keeping his big mouth shut, oh no, he ran. She ran him over. She bumped him. But regardless, we've had this conversation already. The laws state if you even walk into not knowing a cop or any official, it is assault. Do I agree with it? No, because that's very abuse of power. But that's the law. Most cops don't. Yeah, okay. They I, I met somewhere it's happened, and they warn you. Yeah, it's meant to divide and pit people against each other and get arguments started. That's why I try to avoid those topics this year. This year, I want to focus on these topics: broken systems. Don't wait till I get to the healthcare system. But in the end, before we can get to those topics, we have to remember we still live in a caste system. We live in a society that has a hierarchy no matter where we're at and what we're doing. And sometimes we live in multiple caste systems, like the police. They have their chiefs, sergeants, lieutenants, and on down the line, detectives, and it gets broken down some more. Remember what I said about we start creating labels and creating alternate labels or sub labels. Anything that we create that's an alt label is meant to subjugate, divide from the original label. Yes, it's a branch of that label, but it's meant to divide it from that label. Instead of saying, I'm right, I'm alt right. Well, we've seen what happened to that whole movement. As soon as the alt right was created, that movement was destroyed. As soon as MAGA was created, it was us against them. Although MAGA was great until you said disagreed with Trump. When it's our job to always question everything, and when some elected official of your party says something outside of that is knowingly wrong or violates the Constitution, it is your job, it's actually your due diligence to say something and point it out. Just like as voters, it is our due diligence to always question an election, unlike what you tries to tell you, or back when X was Twitter. It is our due diligence as U.S. citizens to question our elections, to make sure they're fair, make sure dead people ain't voting in our elections, which happen every year in every state. And I want to question the most important part of that election tampering: corporations. When I can't remember the justice name was Justice Scalia. He was opposed of allowing corporations to be spend as much money as they wanted to. Then he mysteriously, miraculously died. Funny at um, a certain VP's estate. You know, a certain VP that was quail hunting shot somebody in the face. But he mysteriously, miraculously died. His autopsy was done right there in that county, which was illegal. His body was immediately cremated. Oh, wait, which went against his faith, which went against his will and testament because he was Jewish. He was never to be cremated against their religious beliefs. But the most important part and the icing on the cake to that was they cremated him within hours of having him at the county morgue before the feds could come get his body and do a federal autopsy, which is within our Constitution, within our laws, that any Supreme Court justice, president, and I'm pretty sure most congressmen and women in the federal side are to is to have a federal autopsy done. But no, he died. Natural causes, I think that's what they said. Then Obama appoints his gets his appointed person in, and guess what? Next thing we know, corporations can spend as much money they want on campaigns because of a technicality in the wording that is a corporation is made up of citizens, plural. So therefore, the Constitution does not apply to a corporation and how much money a corporation can spend and buy elections. Now, they say foreign influence does not happen in our elections. Well, how many of our big corporations are owned outside of the United States by foreign entities? How many of the shareholders on the boards are foreign investors, owners? So therefore, yes, our elections are and should always be put into question about integrity until, and it can't believe that none of our congressmen, none of our Republicans, is going to be MAGA, have not went after and put new bills and legislations to stop corporations from spending money on campaigns. A corporation should be allowed to spend zero money on a campaign because it goes against we the people. And I would argue to the Supreme Court that, okay, you say because it's citizens plural, well, our constitutions clearly state we the people plural, which makes your argument mute and invalid because we are a nation of people. We are a nation that was entrusted to police and be the masters of the people we elect, that we elect, plural, not a corporation. And that is one of the biggest and most broken parts of our system right now is the influence and integrity of our elections. But we can't question that because I question that. Now YouTube's going to strike my video down, give me a community strike, which fuck you, go ahead. I'm on Rumble. Been on Rumble for the last 2 years, obviously. The only reason you guys are getting my streams over there because I'm allowed to stream Facebook, YouTube, and X right from my Rumble studio. And hell, you know me. I'm everywhere. You give me the opportunity to do it for free, I'm going to do it. Since I've left YouTube, they have removed almost 200 videos of mine. And the last 60 or so have been removed because I said something medical about. And I went back. I've got all my videos archived. Every live stream I've done has been recorded and archived and is actually still up on archive.net, on the archive website. I put them up there. I always have a backup. I've got every live podcast I did backed up on my portable drive. Rumble's getting really good. I mean, shit. I couldn't do what I'm doing right now. Be a premium member, be a content creator, and part of the Rumble's creator program on YouTube. Because YouTube makes it so you have to have so many thousand before you can get anything. You gotta have so many hundreds before. Yeah, and that's the catch. That's the loophole to YouTube. Mark your videos private. And you don't want me to go into the corrupt, sick, satanic, evil, vile videos that are on YouTube that are hidden under private. Like I said, YouTube's day of reckoning is coming. One of these days, they're gonna piss me off enough, and all that stuff I got from when I investigated and shit that was given to me, links that were given to me that are still open and live, I will make public. I mean, hell, Facebook's a joke anymore. It's all but advertising. Hell, I usually keep it just for family. Or now it's friends, family and close friends. Now it's because of work, so people can easily get a hold of me from work. I swear to God, the next person that gets a hold of me on a weekend, on my day off, might get a piece of my mind. Especially if it's not an emergency. Oh, the joys of being a supervisor. Yeah, I know a bunch of people lost their jobs. I don't know how, honestly, I don't know how I slid by as long as I did on YouTube, where everybody else would get knocked down, struck down. And I know how I did it. I did it by not using meta tags, not tagging anything, and not growing my channel, and taking the advantage of their broken analytics that was meant to lie and deceive everyone and prove it wrong. I was getting most of my videos. They might say I have a couple hundred views, if that, 30, 25. Some of those videos that said only had 5 views on YouTube had close to 10,000 views on the mines, over 500 views on my website, thousands of views on the Internet Archive. And I'm not going to get into all the other places I'm on that I put my links up and videos up at. But yeah, it takes me about a half hour before I go live. I don't need all the people following me there or here because I'm reaching them. I'm reaching a variety of different people on all these platforms. I wish I could start back like I used to, but I work 10-hour days now. 10-hour days. Shit, last year I went from lead to supervisor. I've got some courses I'm going to be taking in the next 4 weeks of courses at the end of the month through next month. Then at fall, I'm going to start college for my Sigma 6 certificate. Since I've, made the steps and realized, hey, I'm not getting any younger, production work is probably not for me anymore. Even though I still love working my ass off and out working the kids, I'm getting too old, a little too old for that. It's time to, lead, supervisor positions, much more suitable for my age. So I'm working on making sure that the next one I get paid well for it. Yeah, my schedule is I only got the weekends. I work Monday through Thursday, 10 to 11-hour days. Friday I do all my running. That gives me Saturday and Sunday to relax, try to have some fun, and try to get me do a podcast, whether it's here or on my gaming channel. And lately it's been a lot more gaming than doing this. But Rumble gave me a an advantage by allowing me to become a creator or part of their content creator program. So I'm going to invest a little time and see if I'm not going to be able to meet the requirements. I can't do 30 hours worth of videos a month, but they were gracious enough to invite me to experience it. So I'm going to do it, experience it, enjoy it while it lasts. Because we all know. You know, you've been following me for a while. I don't care about the money. I don't do this for the money. Yes, they do. That's like my gaming channel is the reason I met the requirement for their creator program. Because I actually think Sons and Daughters of Liberty only has like 21 followers over here. The rest, the hundred some, are from the gaming channel. Truthfully, most of those are probably bots or just accounts that want you to, oh, why don't you pay me to design your content and stuff, design your graphics and stuff. No, I don't need to do that. I can do that myself, but I don't have time. So, but if I don't really have time, I got a friend that does that, and she always loves to get creative, especially if I ask. And I'd rather pay her than somebody I don't know. And truthfully, I'd rather pay myself to do it myself because money's that tight right now. That's why I'm glad I got my promotion early, got a small pay raise, which I knew I wasn't expecting a big pay raise. But it's better than what I was making. A couple dollars more. That's it. But better than what I was making. It just means they're going to take more taxes out of me. So in a sense, I'll still probably end up making less. Fucked up how that works. Get rewarded for your hard work only to get taxed for your hard work. Well, here's the lovely thing about Rumble. You don't have to have. You have to. Have, you don't. You can have 0 followers and people can tip you, give you money. You don't need a super chat. And they just introduced Rumble's wallet to where most you can get tipped in Bitcoin now. The one that's backed by gold or just U.S. dollars, and you get most of it. Unlike YouTube, hell, YouTube was takes more from you than OnlyFans, and OnlyFans takes almost 70%. I think YouTube takes like 60% of any monetary income that you make there. You know, this is like the shit's going on. I covered at the end of last year. I mean, you know, I don't agree with anything Tim Pool says, but here's one thing I do agree. Things have gotten so fucked up. We went from swatting to actually shooting, drive-by shooting by a place because people don't like what the person's saying because the person's questioning the narrative. But it goes back to what I said. Well, yeah. Now that he has something to lose, he has a different tone. Yeah, I'm still waiting for him to take back what he said about during COVID, talking about, oh, you have a choice. You don't have to work there. Uh huh. Well, you're not working at your studio no more, are you? Now that you have finally have something to lose, we all got something to lose. And that's the other dirty little trick. They use that against you. That's how YouTube baited so many people in. They gave you all these things. You can make money off us. Then they slowly started taking away your freedom, started taking away your freedom of speech, started controlling what you could say, making you fearful. Oh, I know he ain't. I just think it's one of those things. I think it's funny. Yeah, now the shoe's on the other foot. Now I see the other side of the story. Now you got something to lose. Now you got a wife, a kid. Now you see what they were going through. Sometimes probably best not to judge or throw a very dumb opinion out there when you haven't walked a mile in their shoes and you don't know what they can live to lose. And yes, as I pointed out, there ain't no difference in a man quitting his job or a woman quitting their job, and that's the only income they got, than being having your place shot at. Because in the end, you're both leaving a place and not being able to support, protect, and serve your family. And that's where the caste system has the ultimate control. They control our kids, they control our education of our kids. Now we live in a day and age where if you even question that, you're a domestic terrorist. Another fuck label that they use to instill fear and control through tyranny. You you have no rights to question that school board. Yes, I have every right to question that school board. I have every right to question what my children are being taught. I have no kids, thank God. Because I tell you what, they'd be homeschooled. And they're making it even harder for you to do that. It's like one of my favorite is a lack of common sense. We've lost so much common sense. We all know that whole stupid thing about transgenderism was immoral to begin with. And don't get me wrong, I don't care about what your sexual preferences are. Hell, I have my own fetishes and things. But guess what? That's for inside the house or in adult facilities that facilitate them, not in open public, not in a stripping drag queen to a speaking convention in front of your kids. I'm sorry, in most states, you have to be 18 to go into any adult bookstore or strip club. A lot of strip clubs you have to be 21 to go into. So and there's no difference from a stripper on a strip pole at a strip club or a pole and a transgender person dancing in front of kids. There's a big difference there. It's illegal. In fact, it's borderline. In fact, it is not borderline. It is child endangerment by law. If you read the law and understand the law, that's child endangerment. Nothing there was ever okay when it came to the transgender thing. But yet it was something they could use to pit us against each other. We got colorful terms like unicorn. Oh, I can be a dinosaur. I can be Alice in Wonderland. Yeah, you can be those things. It's called role play, adult play. It's a fetish. It's an adult fetish. Shit that two adults consensually do and role play out. And my whole thing to that transgender thing is, it's quite simple. I'll respect your views and opinions. I'll respect that's what you want to be. Cool. I'm cool with that. But also respect my views and opinions. Which in that case, don't approach me like that. Okay, cool. That's what I'll respect that. But don't don't cross the line. I'm perfectly straight male. We'll get that understood right now. Most of my girlfriends and fiancés they have been bi, so I don't have a problem with that whole scenario there. I've got friends that are gay. I got friends that do drag queen, but I tell you what, they were opposed to the transgender shit. That's how bad it was. They're like, that's not right. That's not a kid's should be ever being taught to kids. But somehow politicians and their corrupt, I don't even know what word they use to properly describe it, honestly. Vulgar, very, pedophilia, mind states that they think it's okay. But I guess when you're the rich and the laws don't, the laws that apply to us don't apply to them, we have shit like Epstein Island or Epstein cases. Let's not talk about the human trafficking cases that are happening for the sex trade. Yeah, I'll be around. Like I said, my videos will still show up on YouTube as long as until they finally strike me completely out. But I'm 100% over here on Rumble. It seems like every time I do a Sons and Daughters podcast, within my midweek, I get a guideline strike, which I think is funny because I'm not even over there. And plus, I've reached a point where I don't care. I found my new home and highly recommend others come join. It's always good to have a backup. But in the end, the caste systems are just this. We don't even have the freedom as people to talk about certain subjects without fear of having our content censored. We live in a society in a day and age where cancel culture has gone to the extremes of it's okay to drive by and shoot up somebody's place that you don't like what they're saying. It's okay for you to beat them up, run them over because you don't like what they're doing because they're actually upholding the law. Why have you lost the ability to question things, question everything? And yes, I agree. The immigration system is very broken. It's going to be one of those subjects we talk about. And I have a very eye dropping experience in that. Why? My dad's American. My mom's Brazilian. She went through the process of becoming a naturalized citizen. Let me tell you something. That system is very broken, and it's only designed for those that can afford it. And that's where the problem is. We have so many people that still believe from all these third world countries in the American dream. They want to come here to better themselves. Instead, we allow our politicians to ship illegals, people that won't assimilate to our society, our systems, our freedoms, that want to continue the old ways that their country, that made their country so vile, corrupt, and broken. They want to come here and try to instill that upon us. And no, those aren't the people we want coming here. Those aren't the refugees we want coming here. We want those that want a better life for themselves, that want to get away from all that persecution, whether it be religious persecution or political persecution. Because we still have religious persecution going out throughout the whole world. Because it's the number, because of dogma, it's the number one thing to this day that can start a war, can start a fight, that can pit everybody against each other when we're all spiritual beings. We all worship something, whether it's ourselves or God, a goddess, or a unicorn, heaven forbid. But hey, some people do. A rock. Tell you what, in this day and age, you probably get a better conversation out of that rock. But religion has been used throughout the centuries, throughout the dawn of time to separate, segregate, and persecute, all in the name of a God, whether it be Allah, God, Jesus Christ. Which I mean, technically, there's a little differential between Christianity. You know, in the Old Testament, thou shalt not worship anyone but me. You shall not worship false idols. Now we worship Jesus Christ. Catholic Church, there for the longest, they acknowledge Jesus Christ, but Jesus Christ wasn't the emissary to God, it was the priest. We've kind of gotten away from that now, but it took forever. But that's view still there. I mean, there's nothing wrong with religion as long as you don't adhere to the dogma. And I've been there, done that, all of them. I went from church to domination to domination. Yes, including the esoteric ones. You know what I've seen from every single one, whether it be any of the Christian ones, Catholic, Islam, Judaism, they're all the same. There's that dogma. That dogma that tells us because that person has a different belief system, we gotta hate them. They're wrong. They're evil. We need to save them. Because that person has views of is homosexual, we need to hate them. Sodom and Gomorrah. They need to burn. Oh, because they don't believe in Jesus Christ, they need to be burned at the stake? They're witches. Remember what I said about heathen, heretic, pagan. Their root origin is common folk freethinkers. Those that question the church. That's exactly why those terms, those three words were created. Those that question the church or question any organized body. We can't have you questioning our religion. We can't have you questioning our way we're going to rule you. You're not part of this bloodline. You're not wealthy enough. You're not part of this society. Your only sole purpose is to labor the fields, labor the mills, labor the bakeries, and we're going to collect a tax from you to do those things. You know, it's funny. Taxes, we we've gone so far, got so far away from our founding fathers. Taxation is without representation. We did not have taxes until Eisenhower, when he created the Federal Reserve, was one of the ones, but it was in that era. but hey, Rome had taxes. Every let's see, keep coming back to history, playing it, repeating itself. And if you look at our day and age, our society, we've gotten to where Rome really started getting at its worst. We now have gambling everywhere, being whether it be FanDuel or whatnot, pornography or whatever you want to call it, prostitution, rampant. Oh, ah, OnlyFans is prostitution. You're selling your service. You're selling a service. You are a cornerstone selling your service. Whether it's through sex or whatnot, it's still a form of prostitution by its definition. But it's so common that we have, as soon as we have people that's 18 are going right into it because they can make money. And we have the exact dynamic where Rome started to fall, where Rome was at its worst and on its downside and falling. I hear people say, well, we bring church, God back into the schools. And, you know, for somebody who's not a Christian, I actually agree. We need to bring some form of morals back, but leave the dogma out of it. I'm all for love thy neighbor. I'm all for love that turn the other cheek. But I'm also for Old Testament, an eye for an eye. If you push me that far, I can turn the cheek on most things. But there eventually comes a time where retribution is needed. And that's a situation where we all have to make our own decisions. The more this word civil war keeps getting thrown around, the more likely it is to manifest repetition. The more people think it, the more people talk about it, the more likelihood of it happening. Every time it gets more publicized, the chances become greater. If you don't believe me, go do your research on trans. We had the Trans Pacific Pipeline. We had for almost 5 years, a little maybe longer, the word trans shoved down our fucking throats in some form or another to a point we became numb and dull to it. To where all of a sudden they're like, okay, now we've used this word so many times for so many different things. They're not even going to pay attention when we say transgenderism and pass laws and allow this to happen. Allow transgender in bathrooms. And it did. Yeah, there was a few people that spoke up against it. He said exactly what would happen, and it did happen. But the majority of the people became so numb to the word because it was used so repetitively because it's trans. How many things did we have trans with that got passed through legislation? That got was it was in our face almost every day. Something trans, something trans. I pointed it out. I can't remember what video it was, but I pointed out when I started catching the repetition of it. I'm like, this is watch. Something's gonna be passed that we don't agree with. That's gonna be dangerous, and it was because it opened the door to be teaching our children to be something they're not, to strip them of their innocence and their identities as children, strip them of their youthfulness. And it happened. Didn't take a rocket scientist to see it. It takes just you being a little open, just a questioning a little bit. Then you'll start seeing those things. Those are patterns. It's part of the psychological warfare. I've done a series on psychological warfare. You know what? This year we're going to revisit those things. I think it's the proper time. Like I said, I don't want to talk about the everyday thing that's going on. I don't want to talk about that lady being shot because she bumped into a cop with her van or tried to run him over or whatnot. Who knows? Who cares, right? The point is, these two are getting blamed when it should be the politicians who stoked the flames that needs the blame. That's tried to pit both sides against each other because of political difference in political views. Either way, neither one of them, if she would have lived, neither one of them would have been able to get a fair trial. Because you can't find a jury out there that can't put their political views aside and be biased, especially something so mainstreamed and and politicalized. But now that'll be a cause for more violence, more action, more push to civil war, as it's been talked about. Because now the governor wants to call up the National Guard to do the governor's bidding instead of doing the National Guard's oath, which is to protect. That's why I said we need to disband our National Guard and we need to get back to what the National Guard is, and that was the militia. But no, throughout the 80s and 90s, they did everything in their power to eradicate and remove the militia and treat them as true domestic terrorists, when all they were doing was abiding by the Constitution. Yes, we had some radicals, but I tell you what, let me ask you, everybody that's listening, has your state provided you your guns and ammo? You know they're supposed to? You know that's still in the Constitution? You know it's still in the state laws? Because you are technically the militia. You are technically the ones that are supposed to protect your state and protect this country, not the National Guard. They created the National Guard to abolish the militia. And they use such political jargon and lies and deceptions and illusions to make you think otherwise. Then they went instantly on an attack against the militias to eradicate the militias, so the militias wouldn't stand in the way of corrupt, tyrannical governments. Not saying there weren't some bad ones out there. Every organization has their bad apples and bad seeds and zealots. And that's something we all need to learn, recognize, and understand. It goes back to my saying, if the police department ever wants to regain the community, so respect, people's respect, start policing yourselves. When I see that, you've got my respect. I mean, you have my respect for the job you do, but you don't have my respect when it comes you keep protecting the bad apples in your groups. And that's another sad irony of the caste system. It creates a brotherhood and sisterhood that protects themselves. But guess who don't get protected? The ones that aren't considered brothers and sisters, the ones that they consider underneath them. Then the laws don't apply. The laws they expect to govern us and control us by don't apply to them. And it's throughout every caste system. That's why it's so important to understand the caste system. Understand that they view us as pawns on a chessboard that they move at whims. We're nothing but cannon fodder to them. We're nothing but people that put money in their pocket through our labor, when we should be growing with them. And it's simple. There's simple fixes to everything. I've discussed this repeatedly. It's simple. All they gotta do is tell corporations you can't charge this much for this item. Same way with the healthcare. You can't charge this much for this prescription. All healthcare will be equally so the poorest can afford it. You bring the prices back to what they were down in the 90s with what we're being paid now, we wouldn't have whore class. When you could go take your family at fucking Burger King, and when the meals were and bring everybody back to the actual sizes that they were instead of shrinking things, take your family out to Burger King, McDonald's, Wendy's, whatever. Under $10, you feed your family. Under $5. Some cases. I remember I used to be able to in the 90s go to Burger King, get a value meal, eat, drink, go put gas in the car, buy a cigarettes or buy a couple packs of cigarettes and a Mountain Dew, some Butterfinger BBs or peanut M&Ms because you know stoner back then, stoner food for under $20. If if we were paying what we were paying in the 90s today for everything, more people would be buying houses. The housing market would be booming. In fact, there'd probably be more demand for houses than there was actually supply for houses. But no, they don't want that because they've gotten so greedy. Even McDonald's got away from the McDonald's philosophy, it's where they make a penny off every burger they sold. That was the gimmick to McDonald's. For every burger they sold, for every drink they sold, they made a penny, and it became one of the most popular franchises to date, worth billions. But they don't go by the practices anymore because once anything else, greed sets in, and you want more, more, more. I mean, you can have all the money in the world, you're still not what? Oh, I get to drive brand new cars every year, live in this mansion. You got it all, and you still need more. You've forgotten how to live simplicity. You've forgotten how to live and enjoy the simplest things in life. Now your egos and greed control and dictate. Now you place yourself above others, thinking the laws and rules that apply for us don't apply to you. Why? Because you got all this money, you can buy your way out of it. And we've seen it. Even in the 90s. Well, OJ was the best example. He had all the money, he bought his way. Michael Jackson bought his way out of being truly convicted as a pedophile. Over and over, we see these cases. Paris Hilton. Oh, slap on the wrist, slap on the wrist. Or if that was you, you'd be sitting in jail. And if you did it again, you might be going to prison. Oh, no, not the rich. The rules don't apply to them. The same rules don't apply to them. Yes, they do. In fact, it should be they should be held more accountable because they are positions of trust. They are in positions of trust. They are supposed to be role models. That's why I said there's no such thing as a sports or actor role model. They're nothing but charlatans and prostitutes selling their voice for whatever amount of money they deem is worth against a cause that they don't even believe in and care about. Why? Because I want to be in the next movie, or I want to have the next big record deal, or big record for the year. So I play ball, I'll get these things. If I don't, I'll get run out of the industry. So they come no better than the harlots and prostitutes that we condemn. Well, to the real prostitutes out there, yeah, guess what? At least making a living. They're doing what they get, using what they got to get by. That's why there's been such a attraction to OnlyFans or Pornhub's modeling programs, Chatterbait, gambling, because the normal job ain't making ends meet. They've been put in a spot where they need to do something they wouldn't normally do to make money to support their families. That's why I don't judge them. That's why I never said during COVID, quit your job. Don't work for companies that do that. You can't because you got to support your family. You got to support your loved ones. Unfortunately, some people didn't get that because they didn't have nothing to lose. Then when they did have something to lose, oh, it's all of a sudden it's a different thing. Yes, Tim Pool, I'm directing that at you. That was your favorite thing in COVID, and it pissed me off more than anything. Still got a lot of respect for you, right? But you also gotten away from why I originally started watching him. I originally started watching him because he against both sides. He put them both out there. Now he's becoming a little bit one-sided. He's been pushed that way, but at the same time, he still calls it out. He's still somebody I respect on that aspect. But the hypocrisy, I'm going to call it out. You know, you didn't know Candace Owens was a snake in the grass. That was crystal clear when she first started doing this shit. Hell, called that one out. Same thing with Alex Jones. The day Alex Jones said if the shit ever hit the fan, he was taking his family going south. Lost all respect for that man. You're no patriot. You're not somebody I need to be listening to. You're not somebody. You're all talk. Your actions, by your own words, define that if shit ever got real, you're leaving. In the end, it's also about us having the responsibility to police ourselves. I don't like what somebody's saying. Change the fucking channel. Don't follow them. But don't be an idiot and report them because you don't like what they're saying. Because that's what they want you to do. Once again, pitting against these people against the other. I should be able to sit there and listen open mindedly, or when something actually sets me off or triggers me. Wait, why'd that trigger me? And start questioning. Ah, see, I'm a big fan of triggering. I like triggering people. Because once you trigger somebody, guess what? You made them think. Something you said hit home. They're not going to acknowledge it or realize it, probably months or years down the road, but eventually they're going to remember that. Something in their life is going to come up and they realize, oh shit, that's what he meant. Wow, how did I not see that? That's why it's so important to try to be open, try to question everything, especially the things that trigger you. Question those things. Why did this trigger me? Why did I take such offense? And know when to tune out, which is the most important thing. Take breaks, tune out, get away from the social media for a day or two. It's important, it's healthy, and you'll feel better for doing it. And I get it, it's so fucking hard. Because it's a part of everything we do now. Almost every conversation. Oh, did you see what was posted on TikTok? Or I don't have TikTok. Did you see what was posted? I'm only there if somebody messages me. Or I've been drinking. And I'm posting videos, music videos. Or drunk texting, which I don't do. No, I'm smart enough when I'm drinking to keep the put the phone away. But you're drinking while doing a podcast. Uh huh. And I'm enjoying my Crown Apple. Thank you very much. But I'm not intoxicated. There's a difference. Everything within moderation. Ah, social media with moderation. There you go. Everything with moderation. Hell, I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Moderation with me is probably a good thing for you. Especially if you don't like to question and think about things. I'm definitely not your cup of tea then. Because that's my job. That's what our job as human beings, as U.S. citizens are. We are to make people question, think, talk, have these debates, have these talk about these things. The more we talk about, the more we start questioning things. The more we start listening to others, the more things we're going to question. Wow, is it that hard to question someone? Why aren't we doing it every day? Why aren't we doing it when, oh, we're MAGA. We can't question something Trump said. We can't question what Marjorie Taylor Greene said, what Matt Gates said, what Anna Paulina said. We need to question everything the Democrats do, though. No, you need to question your own base. Why? Because they're just as corrupt if left unchecked. Now, I love it when people pop in, talk about, oh, you support a pedophile. I don't support no one. He's your president. He's my president. We both support him. So what? And it hasn't been proven. Everybody had their day in court. When it is proven, no, yeah. When you bring me real tangible evidence, yeah. But guess what? When it comes to the Epstein shit, mute, obsolete, and I don't ever want to see another Congress held session about it because it doesn't matter. The black book has been banned because of a corrupt judge whose name was probably in it, or politicians surrounded and forced him to ban it to protect their asses so they wouldn't drug into courtrooms and their lives ruined for their pedophilia or worse. You can release madam all you want because it doesn't matter what she says. You can't collaborate it. You can't prove what she says right or wrong because the black book's not there. The black book is the evidence. Until somebody gets some balls to step up and unseal that document, which they never will, we will never have justice on that. There will never be a case. It only political agenda meant to divide or distract people. And once again, it is those that we put in charge, elected up positions of power, protecting themselves, and we make the rules and laws. We can change them to protect ourselves, but not you. And from here on out, every broken system we talk about, keep in mind there is a caste system within those systems. There is a hierarchy in those systems. And you are always the slave in that system. That system is meant to abuse you, and control you. While the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. That's what the caste system does. Their select few, their children, their relatives are protected, and you will always be the minority, the working class, the slave that feeds the system. And when you have no use, you are discarded or told you can't afford this health care. We can't provide it because you can't afford it. Here, look into hospice. And no, healthcare is not going to be the next one because when I get into that one, that's going to be a very heated one, especially after this past year. Honestly, I think the next one. I'm not even going to tell you what the next one is. We're going to do the next broken system on what I feel and how I feel. Which those are usually the best because there's be something that probably trigger me out through the week that's going to want me to talk about that broken system. So yes, it could be healthcare. That's forefront of my mind right now because just things that's happened recently, things that our government's done that's taken away from people. Then once again, back to economics and economy, with everything being overpriced, prices not coming down like unlike what the president says. He's wrong on that one. Just because you're in the White House and got millions and millions of dollars because of all the investments you made over the years and deals you made over the years, you've forgotten what it's like to be at ground level, not having all millions. You listen to what your people are telling you, and guess what? Go to Walmart with $100, Mr. President. Mr. Donald Trump, go to Walmart with $100. Tell me what you get. Then tell me that prices have come down. If you can honestly do that, I would believe you. But unfortunately, the reality of it is, you'll see what I see. 20 items, almost $200. That's 20 items. That's not going to last the week. Gas prices, yes, they've come down, but they always come down in the winter because we are on cheaper gas. It's cheaper to do winter gas than it is summer gas. Although they are a bit lower than normal, but they're not what they should be. They should be a lot lower, especially now that you got oil from Venezuela. Prices should really be down in the dollar range, especially for what we're paying for a price of barrels right now. It should really be down in the dollar range. But that was the broken part of the system of our oil tycoons, and we need to get away from gold and invest in petrol. Make petrol the backing of the American dollar. Yeah, look at where that's got us. American dollar ain't even worth a penny. The worst part is the toilet paper that you wipe your ass with costs more than the dollar is worth. Well, don't get me started on the we're doing away with pennies or the shortage of coins. Fun times we lived in, but I'm over a 2 hours. And I don't want to talk much longer. And I drink, and as the saying goes, my cup runs empty, and I'm not pouring me another one. So I think I gave you a lot to think about. I think I gave you a lot to question. Most importantly, where do you fit in the caste systems in your everyday life? How many multiple caste systems are you in? Did you realize that just being a married couple with kids, you were actually a caste system? Yes, there's a hierarchy there. How much has that dynamic of a household changed since the and it's changed drastically? How much control have you given up out of that? Are you truly the parent? Are you truly do you truly have a say in what your kids do, what they learn? Then when you leave your house, the job you go to, what part of the hierarchy of your job are you in? Are you slave labor, the production? Are you some form of management, a foreman, a lead, a supervisor? Or are you the owner? How many small business owners are there out there now? How many mom and pop places are left after COVID? That wasn't intentionally removed or destroyed. How many labels do you adhere to? Funny, these questions can go on for hours because you all label yourself. I'm a parent. I'm not, but you are. That's a label. It's meant to separate you from your household, from work, from society, from church. It's meant to put a hierarchy that I'm above my children. I'm in charge of my household. And our children see this. We're even teaching our children to be part of a caste system. How do we break that vicious cycle that's been around since the dawn of time? Can we? Or is it truly ingrained in our DNA? We have to have people above us. We have to have people in charge. We have to have people leading us, telling what laws and what's rights and what's morals and what opinions and all these things that are matter. Shouldn't common sense dictate most of this stuff? Shouldn't I be working for myself, my family, not the government? Shouldn't my money be coming all back to me, not to to our government and greedy politicians' pockets through their shares and withholdings and corporations that we are getting double taxed on? We're getting taxed by the federal government, we're getting taxed by the state, then we're getting taxed by the corporations that set the prices, that control the prices. Actually, they don't set, they control. Sure, let's wage minimum wage. Sure, raise minimum wage. Let me raise my prices to match the increase the minimum wage raise. Therefore, after you get taxed double from state feds, now that $5 gallon of milk actually costs more because you bring home less, because you got a pay increase. You jump the tax bracket. So they take more taxes, therefore you make less. Wow, what a fucked up system we have. It is so broken that we can't even see past the brokenness of it because we're too busy arguing amongst ourselves and fighting amongst ourselves, or just too damn tired from struggling to make ends meet each week that the last thing we want to do is listen to somebody ramble for 2 hours. That's bringing up some good points. Don't blame you. Know how you feel. But it's here. You can watch it at your leisure, save it, pause it, come back to it, or not. Like I said, these videos are meant for those that stumble upon them. And that's how I've grown my audiences organically. I do them, I talk about them, that's done. Share them on the places I'm in, that's it. Those that are meant to hear this will stumble upon on it because they'll be drawn to it, and they just have the curiosity. Curiosity kills the cat every time. But I'm not gonna pay somebody to grow my channel. I'm not gonna pay some bots to spam my channel out there. No, I want it. Everything I do, I want to stay organic and organically. Yes, I've done a few things I said I would never do, but it was offered to me and I took it. My way of showing that, yes, I love what you're doing. I love what you're promoting, but I will be the first person to call you out if you ever change or deviate from what you've started upon. And I hope that Rumble never goes the way Facebook, YouTube, Parlor, Gap, even X and Twitter went. Don't allow Don't allow corporations to put advertisement on our channels that's going to therefore them come back to you and says, well, I don't like what he said. You need to suspend him, remove his content. If you ever start doing that, then I will become your thorn in your side. I mean, the minds, everybody's done it. That's why I said only time will tell. I would love to one day see a completely true free speech platform. But with that said, that requires common sense and responsibility from the viewers and the content creators. Knowing to change the channel when something is not suitable for you. Knowing that if it has adult content, to set your filters accordingly. Because on a true free speech platform, you'll have it all. You'll have both sides, all sides, and both sides of the opinions and arguments, left, right, everything in between. You'll have adult content and everything in between. You'll have children's content and everything in between on one platform. That's what a true free speech platform is. And that's something most people can't deal with. The reality that when you truly protect free speech, freedom to express one's views and opinions, you're going to have a hodgepodge of all these things that might not be agreeable to you. That's why I said you got to get back to common sense. You got to get back and realize that if it's not for you, you have every tool available on this platform to not see that content, not watch it. I mean, my one suggestion to Rumble, YouTube used to have, but they did away with it. Put in there for channels like mine, not appropriate for anyone under age 18. I swear too damn much. I talk about controversial subjects that might not be appropriate for people under age 18. I mean, it used to all be in my disclaimers, but I got tired of copy and pasting those a long time ago. That's the one thing I did enjoy about YouTube. I could put that there. Yes, there was consequences of doing that, but consequences didn't affect me or matter to me. But it allows people to know that hey, this his audience may not be suitable for young people. And truthfully, my audience is probably acceptable for 16 and up for the most part. But once I want to thank Rebecca Bradley. Thank you for commenting. Enjoyed conversating with you. Thank you to all the new people that'll stumble across this, which I probably shouldn't use that word because that is actually a platform. I love that platform. Just click a button, stumble, see what you stumble across. Some of the shit you stumble across, oh my god. Set your filters accordingly. But you came across some interesting stuff. Sometimes you came across some real educational stuff. And yes, guys, we're eventually going to talk about AI in the broken system. I want to get ahead of that game. Like I said, I'm looking forward to the year to come. This is the first podcast of 26, real podcast of 26. And this is what I want to focus more on. Conversations like this, topics like this, whether it be psychological warfare or the numerous topics we can be talking about that can make a difference. Yes, occasionally we're going to talk about political stuff. It's in my nature. Eventually, something's going to trigger me and set me off that I'm going to want to come on here and rant about it. But we're going to try to keep those few in between. But when we do, also try to keep them educational. because it's still our due diligence to watch and know what our politicians are doing, what bills and legislations they're bringing to the table. It is our due diligence to be the police of our government because we are supposed to be the masters of our government. We the people, not we the politician for the corporation. With that said, you guys all enjoy your weekend. Be safe. Until the next one, I'll catch you guys later.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains at last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Gonna learn the consequence of being incompetent. Mental health is confidence, dreams and some honestness. I'm not here to save the day, that's for you to take away. I could play a million mind games, but instead I say something not illogical, something that is topical. Rub it on and watch it go, make yourself unstoppable. Dreams are irresponsible, but they're always possible. If you just believe, you could be so remarkable.
Thoughts in my head, a collage and they spread. I'll be great one day, going off of my meds. No, I'm not giving up, no, I'm not giving in. I will make it to the top, taking off in the wind. I gotta make it, I'm saving every day to taste it. I'm patient, but my mind, it can hardly take it. I'm chasing a dream that I've had for several ages, a vacant modern kingdom for the taking.
Now that I've been